Good morning, everyone. I hope that more and more of you are joining us now for this clusters talk this early Wednesday morning. Welcome to the clusters talk. Evolving market expectations and regulations are asking SMEs for sustainability reporting and for compliance. The Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive and the EU Taxonomy are actually reshaping how businesses must disclose their ESG performance. And some of that information, I'm sure we will get into greater detail in this cluster talk. But basically, large companies are now required to comply. Listed SMEs must adopt the simplified ESRS by 2026, and non-listed SMEs are under growing pressure to do that. Clusters can be support providers and help SMEs in their reporting and compliance by providing guidance and tools to navigate these evolving frameworks. But what should this help look like exactly? How can clusters and other business support organizations assist SMEs in meeting sustainability requirements, sharing best practices, and showcasing initiatives that foster a more sustainable and resilient business ecosystem? This is what we will discuss in the EU Clusters talk this morning, which is entitled, as you can see, Sustainability Requirements and Reporting Cluster Support for SMEs. My name is Jivila Krapaita. I will be your moderator, and I will take you briefly through the agenda of today. We will hear some news from the European Cluster Collaboration Platform. We will hear a presentation from the European Commission, DG GROW, and we will then delve into a panel discussion where we will ask for your participation as well. Last but not least, we will remind you of the funding opportunities that you can make most of. So this is roughly the agenda for today, for this good hour of clusters talks. We will use Slido to launch polls. Do scan the QR code to answer whenever the QR code appears. Do use Zoom, a Q&A function to ask questions, and the chat function to comment or share links. And we will also try to post any of the links that speakers will provide in their presentations. For example, the funding opportunities, the links, all of the important links that everyone ever refers to may land in the chat, so beware of that. If you want to speak during the panel debate, do raise your hand and we will give you the floor. And yes, the session is being recorded and could be found later on the European Cluster Collaboration Platform. So this is roughly the tech tips, the housekeeping rules for today for this session. Let us move on and hear the news from the European Cluster Collaboration Platform. We will hear from Nina Hopman. Nina, welcome.
Many thanks, Jivila, and good morning, everybody. We would like to share some opportunities for you before we dive into our topic of the day. First of all, you can make your voice heard regarding the new multi-annual financial framework that the Commission will be shaping now for the next budget. And here we're talking about national reforms and investment plans, a new competitiveness fund to boost strategic sectors, as well as targeted external financing and additional safeguards for the rule of law. That are the key proposals, for example, that are included in the Commission's proposal right now. And how can you participate? First of all, there's a public consultation online open until the 7th of May that you can share your views on the budget priorities. And you can also take part in a citizens panel for which 150 participants will debate and recommend changes. And there's an online platform for the broader public engagement. So have a look at that. We will share the link in the chat for you so that it gets you right to these chances to engage. Save the date for the EU-Ukraine Business Summit. It will take place in Brussels on the 10th until the 11th of April. And here there are ongoing couple of panel discussions, workshops, and sessions to explore business opportunities with Ukraine and talk about Ukraine's reconstruction in the framework of European reindustrialization. We have a website where you can find all the information on the Business Summit. Click on the link and find out more on how to participate in Brussels at this summit. We invite you to come to Zaragoza in Spain on the 19th and 20th of March to the Cluster Collaboration Lab. This is an interactive workshop for you to develop your next European projects together with participants from Spain, but also international participants from clusters or companies or research organizations to discuss and to find new consortia on, particularly in this case, artificial intelligence solutions. So the proposed topics concern AI applications, for example, in the net zero technologies, for manufacturing, for healthcare, for dual-use technologies and smart cities. And the purpose is to bring you together, mature your project ideas, and to build your project and business cases together at 2 days with facilitators from the European Cluster Collaboration Platform. And there are more events in store for you. Several clusters meet regions taking place. You have here the map where you can see in Germany, in Poland, in Netherlands, and in Portugal, as well as one additional CT lab to the one that I already mentioned, which will take place in Denmark. So save already the dates for these events. We kindly invite you to participate to the ones that you're most interested in. Registration is already open for the clusters meet regions in Eindhoven in the Netherlands and in Heilbronn in Germany. So have a look at the ECCP to find more details on the events and to register. And with that, I hand over back to you, Chivile, so that we can get started.
Thank you for those reminders and for that information. Thank you, Nina, for the news from the European Cluster Collaboration Platform. We will now move on and we will have an input from the European Commission, a presentation by Georg Raab, who's a policy officer at DG GROW. The floor is yours, Georg. We are all ears.
Hello and good morning from my side. Thanks a lot for inviting me to the Clusters Talk. It's a pleasure to be here. And today I would like to give you a short update on the key requirements and recent developments on sustainable reporting. Why is this important? I know that many parts of you have experienced some cold weather lately, but the last couple of years we saw the effect of climate change, substantially increase in natural disasters, droughts, floods, and so we need to fight climate change. And that's why the Commission has made very ambitious targets to become the first climate neutral continent by 2050 and to cut emissions by 55% by 2030. In order to achieve this, we need to mobilize private investments. More than 500 billion of investments are needed per year to make this green transition happen. If you move on, the Commission, together with the help of experts and substantial help from the Platform on Sustainable Finance, developed a taxonomy. It's a word which sounds a bit scary, but what is it? It's a dictionary, a classification system, defining and helping actually to define what are sustainable activities. And it's also some sort of a compass helping member states, businesses on the green transition to know what is the direction of travel. What is the taxonomy not? And this is very important. It's not a mandatory list to invest in, and it's not a way of defining the degree how green a company is vis-a-vis other peers and competitors. And activities which are covered by the taxonomy can be considered sustainable, but activities which are not covered doesn't really mean that those activities are brown. Moving on to the next slide. So there is no net zero without SMEs. So you as cluster organization can make an important role in this regard. We do know that most of the businesses in Europe are SMEs and they make a substantial contribution on value added and jobs. However, we see there is an increasing pressure on SMEs, both from the market and from the regulation, to disclose ESG data. On the next slide, we saw, particularly the last couple of years, a proliferation of disclosure requests. Now, it's important to be in mind, currently, there are no direct reporting obligations under the EU Sustainable Finance Framework for SMEs. However, we see a trickle-down effect, meaning that there are requests from banks to the SME clients or from value chain partners to SME clients to provide ESG data. And we saw, and this is a particular problem, that suddenly companies faced different questionnaires from different clients and finance providers, and they needed to invest quite a lot of time to provide answers to those questions. And supply chain partners and banks, they ask those questions either because they have themselves pressure from shareholders, investors to provide more information on ESG data, or from the clients. So it really is not only from the time of regulation, but also a trend from the market to provide more and more information on ESG data. In terms of supplier finance, we see that there is very limited offer in the moment, but it started to grow. And together with member states, we're working actually to mobilize even more financing in this regard. Regarding reporting standards, together with experts from the ground, we did develop already standards for the large companies and the draft standards for listed SMEs and a draft standard also for voluntary use for SMEs. On the next slide, you will see a bit an overview under the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive. So who is in scope? And this is important. In scope, it was enlarged after the review of the Non-Financial Reporting Directive. It covers now all large companies, as well as listed SMEs if they are listed on a regulated stock exchange after a phase-in period. The phase-in period means that they only need to disclose the first sustainability reporting in 2027, so still after 2 years. But as mentioned, large companies are in scope as well as large financial institutions. So since they need to disclose actually sustainability reporting, they approach also their SME clients and to ask them actually for ESG data. For instance, under scope 3 emissions transparency, which means that, for instance, Airbus, if it manufactures an airplane, it doesn't only need to calculate the emissions that it produces itself, but also it needs to ask the upstream and downstream value chain partners how much actually they produce in terms of emissions for the parts they produce for Airbus. As mentioned, late last year, the experts from an organization called EFRAG developed voluntary SME reporting standards and sort of simplified one for listed SMEs. It really is a way to help SMEs which are flooded by requests to provide sustainability information, to help them, guide them actually how to provide this information in a standardized way so they don't need to fill out different questionnaires from different partners. Moving on to the next slide. In a nutshell, as mentioned, we already published for the European Sustainability Reporting Standards some sort of guidebook, how they need to disclose sustainability information, particularly for those which are already in scope, as mentioned, the large companies. And the standards provide a comprehensive guidebook for ESG disclosure. It's standardized, and large companies are already in force to comply with these requests. For SMEs, it's purely voluntary. There are already draft standards available. And the Commission foresees to adopt the voluntary standards as well as the one for listed SMEs around mid-2025. I'm moving on to the next slide. We are aware of the challenges SMEs, and I think many of you and your clients face with sustainability reporting. First of all, there are lots of databases and tools available, but those might not be available in the language of local SMEs. Some of these resources actually cost, and they require a fee to access. And SMEs face a hard time really knowing which tools to use, which methods, which databases. And then they need also time actually to fill out and use those databases and tools. So I think actually there is also a potential role that you as cluster organizations can help in order to guide SMEs which databases are most valuable, particularly in their respective sectors, and whether there are some local national tools and databases that they can use maybe free of charge. Other challenges SMEs face next to the complex data collection is multiple reporting requests from stakeholders, and there with the standardized sustainability reporting standards, we're trying to address this problem with standardized tools and reportings. On the next slide, you will see I mentioned, and this is a potential role where cluster organizations can help your clients. It's actually to see what are support tools which are available on local level, but maybe for a specific sector. There is a snapshot from 4 countries. Some of those tools have been co-financed by the EU Recovery Fund. And they're helpful as some of them actually provide information in the local language, some of them free of charge. So it really is to help SME clients to see which tools are most suitable for them and guiding them to fill out and use the database accordingly. Moving on to the next slide. This is a bit crystal ball and future. Maybe some of you have been reading in the news that the Commission is planning to adopt an omnibus or simplification package. This is currently in the making. I cannot disclose any more information other than it's planned for the end of this month, so end of next week to be more precise. Normally, it should cover some simplification regarding EU Taxonomy and also sustainability reporting disclosure obligations. And as announced by Commissioner von der Leyen, there are discussions also of defining small mid-caps and hence cutting SME reporting obligations. So this is still what's in the scope, and the exact initiatives and actions will only be made available next week once the package is adopted. Moving on, I think, to my last slide. Actually, as mentioned earlier in the introduction, I work in DG Growth, so sustainability reporting is actually now our main area of work. We in DG Growth trying to help actually SMEs, supporting them to embark on this green transition, particularly with EU financial instruments. So there the Commission is working together with member states and banks and venture capital investors all across Europe to help them to provide easier access to EU co-financed loans and equity financing. and we developed a website, access2finance.eu, with an overview of all the intermediaries working with us under different EU programs. So this is purely loans and equity financing. It doesn't cover any grants. And it covers different programs such as InvestEU, Recovery and Resilience Facility, and EIB Global Loans. And it's an interactive website where companies all across Europe can find who is providing loans. And for instance, it lists also intermediaries who provide loans, helping companies on the green transition for clean tech and sustainability projects. I saw that on the program you do cover EU funding opportunities later during the talk. So this is also a helpful database then for you and your clients. This is a short introduction, but most importantly, I would like to open the floor for any questions that you might have. As mentioned, the housekeeping rules, you can either raise your hand or send and post your questions in the chat.
Thank you so much. We are getting many questions by people asking if the presentation would be available anywhere. So I just want to confirm that it would be available, and it would be available on the Cluster Collaboration platform website once the cluster talk is over. And the link is also in the chat now. And so is one of the questions already by Christine. Could it be an idea to create a regional database with relevant data from which SMEs located in the region can take those data they need for their reporting? Is there any experience with such approach in Europe?
I'm reading the question again.
Yes, basically the regional database for all of the data needed for reporting.
Well, the EFRAG did publish already the voluntary sustainability reporting standards. So it's available on the website of EFRAG, and it will be soon adapted by the Commission. Normally, we foresee maybe to launch a public consultation. So it's still uncertain, but as mentioned, it will be mid this year. And normally, as part of this, on our to-do list, it is not only a database, because there is the European Single Access Point. So meaning it's a public domain database for any companies that do publish already sustainability reporting. So this is data that they publish. And on the other hand, there is idea, and we are discussing then with the experts to develop some sort of online guide tool to help SMEs to fill out which are the data points that they need to fill out, and maybe even provide cross links to any free of charge tools that they can use actually to make the necessary calculations. So yes, it's a good idea, and we are discussing actually with our colleagues and experts from the ground how we can implement it in practice, particularly taking note also on regional initiatives, as mentioned, 4 of them in my presentation, and market practice.
We have Sabine who is raising her hand. We are not sure whether she wants to actually ask a question or make a comment. If you are ready to do that, Sabine, then we are all ears, and we'll give you the floor now. Sabine Hoffel.
Yeah, good morning, Sabine Höfer from FPE. It was a mistake.
Okay.
So I have
It was still
over the hand and it opens. Sorry for
still
that.
nice to hear your voice. Still nice to hear your voice, and still nice to know that people are actually actively listening to us. So thank you so much, Sabine. I want to ask maybe a more general question. When you say that clusters can be of support to SMEs, at the same time, we hear that there are so many different schemes, different future developments, future databases, so much information, different, as you said, multiple reporting requests from shareholders, for example, different methods, different databases. What is now the primary source to get all of the reporting information, to find out whether, let's say, I'm an SME's representative of an SME, and I don't know where to go? What is the primary, source of information?
Yes, thanks a lot. Very well question. So only to stress once again, there are no direct obligations stemming from regulation from the EU side. However, we see there are many banks asking for information from their SME clients. Also larger companies asking companies for their sustainability ESG data. Now, the prime information stems actually from the request. We do hope, and we're trying actually to motivate larger companies and finance providers to use those standardized questionnaires so that SMEs can use this voluntary SME standards as a prime source of starting point where to fill out and how to comply with ESG data requests. So this is the prime source of information. However, we do know that we need a lot of local help and local contact points. So, for instance, within the Enterprise Europe network, we do have a network of sustainability advisors who SMEs can approach to provide actually help filling out the data requests they receive. And we're trying to provide them, first of all, with the necessary training so that they can provide the information to SME clients, but also that they do the mapping of online databases and tools they can use. It's true what you mentioned, it's a bit a jungle out there with different databases and tools. And to be honest, I think the main reason is that we started far too late actually with the process. It would have been much better to start with work on sustainable finance, not 5, maybe even 10 years ago, to have it more structured, more standardized. And we are running a bit against the clock, not only with climate change, but also with market trends that the industry already is 1 or 2 steps ahead, asking the request. So again, the starting point is the voluntary SME standards developed by EFRAG, and soon maybe some online tools that the Commission will publish. And the place to look for is the Taxonomy Compass. I will publish the link actually on the chat, which is the starting point for SMEs to look at.
Thanks. There are still more questions coming in. Some of them you have answered. For example, there is Christina asking whether EN, Enterprise Europe Network, could be a one-stop shop, and you have answered that. As an SME representative, it would be better to start gathering data and prepare in advance before the request from the stakeholders. This is a comment from Diana. And at this point, we will stop here. And I'm not sure, Georg, how long you can stay with us. But if you could, maybe it would be interesting for you as well to gather some information from the clusters themselves, what their concerns are and what their insights are. Because now we will soon move into the panel debate, and we will gather some of the responses from Slido as well. So thank you so much, Georg, at this point. This is the Slido QR code. You can either use that one or go to slido.com and then use the hashtag ESG. And we will now ask a question, and we will ask everybody's participation in it. So do join us at slido.com. Are you dealing with ESG reporting in your organization? This is the primary question that will be instrumental for us to actually understand in which stage you are. No, we have never done it. 50% of you are saying. and you're still answering. No, we have never done it, still is a very popular answer. But we are still learning is the most popular one now. 50% of you, half of you are actually. And there are very, very few who are saying that you're doing that and that you're experienced. So in any case, the level of knowledge is at the point which needs to be raised. No, we have never done it, says 56% of the people. Yes, but we're still learning. Roughly 1/3 of the participants, of the respondents of this poll. This is very, very useful for us to understand that this is actually at a still early knowledge stage and experience stage, and it will be useful for our further discussion. No, we have never done it, and yes, you're not obliged in many cases, as Georg said, but there are more and more requirements coming, more and more legislation coming, and we will still have to talk about this in detail. So I think that is it. We are fine with this question. Most of you, 60% of you, do not have any experience. How prepared do you think companies are for ESG reporting? Having in mind the answer to the first question, I'm making an assumption that you will not necessarily feel like everybody's 100% prepared. So let's see what the poll suggests. Somewhat prepared, but need more guidance. Not prepared, struggling with requirements. A good nearly half of you struggling with requirements and not prepared. Absolutely no one is well prepared. If at least there is at least one respondent who would say they are prepared, do participate in this poll. So we see some line of hope, but unaware and well prepared, none. Mostly 2/3, somewhat prepared, but need more guidance, which is why we are here today. Not prepared, struggling with requirements. I would suggest that many SMEs, at least in Italy, are even unaware, says Francesco. Answer is different whether you think about SMEs or big companies, says Thomas. So that is a very, very important point as well. Let's have that in mind. The poll does not kind of represent that, but still, the general feeling is that more guidance is needed. Thank you for participating in this poll. This is very useful. And lastly, do you see ESG reporting as a burden or a chance? A chance for 88% of you and a burden for 13%. Be honest about that. You can be anonymous. You can say anything you want. So this is for us to get the general feeling of the situation. It is a chance and it is an opportunity. 79% of the respondents, 80 now. So this is good news. There's a line of hope and there is a silver lining, and we will also move to the presentation to find out what the actual chances are, and maybe someone's got the experience has turned it into a chance. Maybe someone has turned reporting requirements into business opportunity. So this will be very interesting and useful to hear examples. This has been brilliant, the poll and your answers. Thank you very much for participating. And we will now talk to CEO at Click Lab Transformative Agency, Anaïs Lecourbec, coordinator at Be Resilient Eurocluster Wagralim, Cécile Fontaine, and CEO at 482 Point Solutions ESG Cluster Hub, Roman Kravchenko. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so very much for joining. And let's begin with a short glimpse of what you actually do as a cluster, a minute of presentation, so we know more about you and can understand what your activities are. Anaïs, let's begin with you. Welcome. Thank you for joining.
Thank you very much, Sibylle, for the intro. I'm very happy actually to start on that last question that you just did, that it is a chance, it is an opportunity. So I'm Manis Lekovec. I am actually very happy to be here today. I used to be the managing director at CBER, the Council of European Bioregions. So I've been with Cluster for quite some time in the life science sector, but very involved with ECA in the last year. So happy to be back. I have my own company. We co-founded it about 5 years ago. And actually, what we do is one of the line of services that we offer is the evaluation of societal impact, meaning that we look at the SDGs and all the, let's say, impact sustainability goals, and we help companies, technological centers, institutions, and so on, to actually get those measurements done. So I'll be happy to discuss a little bit why this is an opportunity and how we can innovate in that sector as well.
Yes, we will discuss how this is an opportunity, but do clarify when you
Yes.
say that you help companies and institutions to actually get measurements done. So
Yes.
It's not, again, the obligatory thing
Exactly.
that they do, but they want to do it. And why do they want to do it then?
So we use a methodology. It's called social return on investments. We started this quite a few years ago because of the new emergence of impact funds. So actually private funding that we're looking not just only for your, economical return, but also looking at other impact in society. So obviously environment and so on. So I think a lot of companies, they get to that because of needs, being them regulatory, but most of the time it's because also of the money. But I think we're transforming this into an opportunity to really believe in the need for this change. I mean, it's also, I think, in the values of companies that they really want to make a difference, an impact. And so obviously you have to push for regulatory and not all obligatory. But I think what we've seen is that there are companies more and more that are actually interested in developing and delivering a good impact, not just make money. So this is where they contact us and they get we help them to sometimes just develop their impact strategy with the SDG in mind and with the current, let's say, legislative framework. But I think it's also to support them in their goal to do better in terms of sustainability.
Thank you so much. Let's move to Cécile. Let's hear from you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation. So I'm working for Wagradim, which is the agri-food cluster of Wallonia. We have about 300 members now, mainly food SMEs, and I am the circular economy officer for Wagradim, working on both regional and European projects. So I'm not as expert as Anaïs, but I'm gonna try to give you an overview of what we can do for SMEs with sustainability. And I'm also the coordinator of a European Eurocluster project, Be Resilient. And the aim of this project is to make SMEs in the food industries more resilient by using optimally the biomass. And we also try to make aware cluster manager of sustainability and also CSRD ESG.
Thank you so much. And we've got Roman with us as well from 482 Solutions. Is that how many solutions you've got for companies that would need to do ESG reporting?
Okay, thank you. Hello, colleagues. Thank you for invitation. My name is Roman Kravchenko. I represent technology provider 482 Solutions. 482 because this international code of Ukraine, like the solutions, digital solutions from Ukraine. And also today I represent Ukrainian Cluster Alliance because together with Ukrainian Cluster Alliance, we develop an ESG cluster hub, this like data management platform for ESG data collection, processing, and reporting, focusing on the needs of the clusters, not only for SMEs. So we'll glad to share more details and have discuss about what we need to do facing these challenges of lack of culture on SME owners and issues regarding technology factors and so on. So yeah,
So when
thank you.
so when you
thank you.
say lack of culture, what
Yeah,
do you mean exactly?
lack of understanding why SME need to start preparing and changing something, and we need to fill this the gap of like understanding and change mindset, even usually to change mindset of the owners of the SMEs.
Would you say that this is the situation? I mean, if you had to define it, because I understand that you mostly work with Ukrainian companies, is that the general feeling that there is a lack of understanding that SMEs need to do ESG reporting?
Not only problem with Ukrainian companies, but also in Europe, the same situation. Here in Asia, where I live 5 years. So from SMEs even to large companies, there are no clear vision. What's the motivation to do this? It's like, if to be honest, on the top of a lot of different challenges and other challenges. So this more about changing the mindset, about the educating the managers, the owners of the business. What's the benefits? Because we talk it more from the point of view of regulation and requirements and so on, but for my opinion, we need to start talk more about the opportunities of this ESG data management process, and how this process impact in positive way on the long-term sustainability of the business. What the new opportunities can open for SMEs and so on. It's just some remarks.
Yeah, thank you so much. And you say that it is oftentimes not clear for SMEs, the motivation of using ESG tools is not really clear. ESG reporting, and Anais has said that companies are more and more interested, and it's not just because of money. So what is another motivation? What are those opportunities, Anais?
Well, I think, I mean, just the world we live in, the worries about, what's next for the future. We just hear a lot about many different things, climate change and so on and so forth. I'm not going to get into that, but I think also listening to Roman, I think there's always a need for a little bit of a push. So obviously the fact that we talk about this and for companies to hear that there is some legislation to be followed. Obviously, when you're an SME, it's not yet there, but it will be eventually in the future. I think it's necessary to be a push, but I do feel that a lot of the companies, it's not so much about the motivation itself, but it's the how do I do it? And this is why I think it's important I mean, I'm always I'm still a huge fan of clusters. I think through clusters, you can bring trainings, you can bring new ideas, you can bring experts to explain a little bit. And what we've seen for us as this kind of service provider is that no one, there's no one size fits all. So you have to adapt depending of the company. They just kind of, okay, we want to do something, but we're not sure yet, to those that are really completely in, for example, Cecile, I'm sure can give more, the circular economy already. This is already something that you really are conscious about what you want to do. I've seen at EU level some textile industry, very interesting projects on circular economy, but not everybody's there yet. So I think as clusters, but also for us, is to find the right path for the companies, because some will be very advanced, some will be less, but the push has to be on that direction. And I think the second thing is in terms of the clients of those companies, I also believe that customers nowadays are way more aware of the need for sustainability and the way we consume whatever it is. So I come from the health sector, which is a very complex sector, obviously, and especially in sustainability, because there are, many one-use kind of things when you go to a hospital, for example. So how do you change that? It's very complex, but at least what I've seen, the trend is that you have to adapt to the companies. But I think the companies that will also succeed in the future are those that at least have this in mind and make impact strategy and ESG strategy in place, even if it's not a full legal requirement yet. It might be in the future, but it's also, like I said before, for a lot of funds nowadays, it's also important to see this, because it responds to a general need, I would say.
Yeah, thank you so much, Cécile. How do we turn reporting requirements into business opportunity from your perspective?
Yeah. I didn't play on this side though, but I am on the team opportunity much more than burden, even if I can understand that it's burden as well. We work with a lot of SMEs, and I think that what we have to keep in mind is SMEs is quite complex. It's a small unit, but with a lot of complexity, and they have to work on different things. I'm going to speak about our sector, the sector Wagarin covers, the food industry. When we speak about food, it's not only food, of course, it's a whole structure with they have to work on their sourcing, on waste management, on packaging, water, energy consumption, a lot of things. And so I think that the CSRD is quite interesting for SMEs, because it can centralize a lot of information and think, it helps SMEs to think a little bit more higher than they used to do, because usually they work in a silo. They just try to make something, but without a systemic approach. And so it can help SMEs to do that. But as Anna said, and Roman, I think that some of them are really aware, but it's quite difficult to them just to do something, because they lack resources, they lack a lot of financial resources, but also personal HR resources, and that's how it's quite complicated. But I know a lot of SMEs who are working on their strategy, because I think that this kind of reporting also has helped to boost strategic thinking. So when they are in, they're really in, and that's very, very positive for me.
Thank you so much, Roman. Maybe we could get a better glimpse of what the ESG cluster hub, how it functions, how it actually works. It would be important for us to understand, and your tools to prepare ESG reports would be of interest too.
Okay, yeah. Just your remarks regarding previous question. Business owners and entrepreneurs very motivated people, and when they ask what we need to do, and thinking about and we thinking about the problems of lack of resources and so on, this result this result of non-clear understanding what the motivation for the business. It's a very clear picture now. I talk it a lot with business owners, with a lot of companies in Ukraine, in Europe, in Asia, and yeah, all like managers and business owners understand entrepreneurs that they need to change something, but there are no clear understanding how this like process impact in general on the business. It's not the problem of the lack of resources, because entrepreneurs can mobilize, can find the resources to solve any problems, any challenges with the business, like this by nature for entrepreneurs. And continuing my remarks, I see the crucial role of clusters to help SMEs with providing the right knowledge, right understanding, and clear picture what's the impact, what's the benefits, what's the new opportunities, market opportunities, investment opportunities, opportunities of the increasing market value of the business, attracting new stakeholders like responsible customers, impact investors, and so on. And clusters need to play the key role to support on this first layer of changing the mindset, first of all. And the next, by helping with expertise, by providing some center of excellence and collecting the experts who can support SMEs, because data management infrastructure is very require the high capital investment, capex, and single SMEs can't solve this problem by one companies, and clusters can orchestrate, can coordinate, and can concentrate the resources required to help the SMEs. That's why we started to develop 2 years ago. We started to develop the data space in Ukraine. This was the first data space, so this environment with this single agreement regarding data processing, data sharing. This concept provided by European Union and the part of European Union strategy for data. And we understand that Ukraine and all other countries need the federated data space aligning with the local and European regulation standards and so on. So ESG Cluster Hub, this is a platform that provides clusters with tools and these tools, clusters can deliver to SMEs. And I name this problem the last mile problem, and clusters can solve this problem, last mile delivery of ESG ESG consultancy, expertise, and tools to help SMEs to face these challenges, and not understand it's not the challenge, it's the opportunities to move to a new economy, to start to produce new services, new goods with and it's totally another way and approach of making the business.
Thanks, and you have mentioned a few times about changing the mindset as a role that clusters should play for SMEs. There is a comment from Anne saying that innovative and growth-oriented startups in our national business competition in Finland for green transition are preferring to do business with other partners operating in more environmentally friendly and responsible way. So this is kind of a sign that the mindset is changing, but what do others think as for like in terms of clusters' role in helping change the mindset, Anais?
Well, I mean, like I said before, I'm a fan of clusters. I think all working clusters are facilitators, connectors, enablers. So I think the role of clusters here, for example, I'll give you an example. We're doing what is called a shared value, so very related to sustainability and how to handle that for businesses. For a cluster here I'm based in Barcelona. We're doing a course for about 10, 12 of their SMEs. So to explain a little bit all the dynamics, local, regional, European, and so on. I think clusters can provide support in expertise in making sure we talk about this, like the fact that we're doing this today, but at cluster level, doing talks about sustainability, giving example, exchanging, and so on. I think clusters, as I said, can push, but giving the expertise, because they know you normally know a little bit more on what is needed, what is the level, because Roman is talking obviously about the situation maybe in Ukraine. The comment on Finland, we know that at EU level, there are countries that have been thriving on that change, others that are in middle and less, just like the innovation. So I think clusters are good down to the ground thermometer of where we stand or where their SME stands. And that's where I think you can bring expertise, you can support the connections and so on and so forth. I would also think that both at EU and local regional level, it's need to be a little bit clearer. So, I mean, obviously the clusters, they can give all the expertise, connect courses and so on. But if the rules are not yet fully clear on what is the reporting, as said before, there's no legal obligation yet for the SME, but when is it going to come? So I think for me, it's a two-way road. Obviously, the clusters can support, the cluster know exactly where their companies are at, what is the training that they need, what is the connection, what are the examples that they need to give to their SMEs. But I would say as well at EU level, for example, I've seen the website that Georg referred before to, but to understand a little bit more clearly what is the agenda for this, and so we can so it can be given back to the SMEs. What are their obligations for the future when it's going to come, and at the same time also enhance the positive aspect of it, the opportunity. And I think what Anne Sumanen just wrote is there. I mean, more and more companies, also the ones that are going that road, they want to work with same mentality companies that actually do take this very seriously into account. So I think it's a business opportunity, and as I said before, as well for the customers. But again, clusters, you don't want to put another role on top of all the roles that you already have. But I think the bringing the expertise, connecting, and yeah, giving the opportunities to the companies to understand a little bit better with experts, classes, whatever. I think it's a really good start.
Thanks, Cécile. Do you have any practical examples how clusters can provide practical support in helping SMEs understand sustainability standards and their reporting?
Yeah. I'm gonna just jump to what Anna's just said, because I fully agree. It's not easy when it's for SME, when it's there is a degree of uncertainty. But as cluster, I think that we have to anticipate and to help them not to see tomorrow, but the day after tomorrow, and that's a key role, I think, for the cluster as well. Concrete examples, we have done a lot of, because the first pillar is going to be information and inspiration, and that's also a key role of the cluster. And so, for example, in Wagralim, we wrote a very large dossier with a lot of articles of our members who are already involved in this sustainability report, and trying just to inspire other members, because I think that's very important, and that's also what a cluster can bring to its member. We also collaborate with different clusters at the European level. In my introduction, I just say that I'm the Brazilian coordinator. So it's a Eurocluster project with 8 partners. And the aim of the project is the resilience. And the resilience, of course, is very linked to the way a SME can bring into sustainability. And so we organized a webinar dedicated to cluster managers as part of the Resilient project, because we have to, as cluster managers, we have to be very well informed of what's happening, and because we have to give the information to the SMEs. A lot are already aware, but a lot are not aware at all. So it's very important that we are very well informed. When we speak about clusters, we of course have to speak about innovation as well. That's our core business. And we are now launching a new kind of ESG CSRD oriented innovation management system questionnaire. So the aim is to make aware also the SMEs that innovation is not just on the product, but it's on the whole value chain. And this is also a way to make them aware that they have to work on everything and not to be more systemic and not only on R&D. And this questionnaire is also discussed for the moment in another project, European project with Flanders and France, just to make a common tool for this questionnaire.
Thank you. We also have a nice example from Austria. In the first step, we as a cluster create awareness and support with finding potentials and opportunities for the company's transformative journey. Furthermore, we create a lot of awareness by knowledge exchange and sharing best practice and success stories from our community that inspires others. Thank you for sharing that example. And I think we will start heading towards conclusions somehow. And I will have one last question to each of the panelists, and maybe just ask what further incentives, what other measures and incentives that we have not maybe mentioned could support SMEs in their sustainability transition. Roman.
Like one of the additional tools can be simulation models that can be prepared on the like national or regional level, like domain specific simulating model that provide provide demonstration the impact for SMEs. What will happen if they started like to collect, to disclose the data? It's possible now because we have such solutions, like such technology like digital twins, and we can start to build such models like templates and models, and provide not only our like obligation for SMEs and provide the general information, but provide the economically and mathematically based proof how like ESG factors impact on the all business components from the capex, opex, and first of all the increase in the market value of SMEs, and it's the way to attract new investors to scale the business by the sustainable way, not only focusing on like profitability, because 10 years business owners used to build business based on such traditional approach, like reducing the cost and increasing the profit. But now we understand it's like short-term model, and we have like proof that we can open for SMEs the new opportunities, new markets, and new incentivization mechanism, building this layer of like ESG data and asset management.
Thank you.
Model and tools is very shortly, yeah.
Yeah, so domain-specific simulation models. Cecile, does that sound something that would be of use, or are there any other measures or incentives that you would single out?
Yeah, I think this one it could be a great one. Maybe another way of approaching is, we already spoke a little bit about that, but it's consumer. I think that it's important to develop measures to increase consumer awareness of all these sustainability issues. Unfortunately, consumers often lack understanding, and this is sometimes due to a lack of information, of wrong information. And I think that's a very important part of the transition, the consumer, and it's also very important for the SMEs as well. So yeah, we still have a lot of work to do in this topic.
Anais, simulation models, consumers as the main pillar. Have we not mentioned something else that would be crucially important?
Yeah, no, I think, I mean, those are good ideas anyways. And I would just say that there's the legal, let's say, burden, because yes, all those forms and so on, if you don't have the obligation to do them, maybe you prefer to skip and spend more time in other things, but clear maybe incentives as well for the companies in you know, if instead of I'm gonna hit you with the legal burden, maybe if I give you more, I don't know, if it's tax incentive or whatever, that could be also a motivation for companies to go down that path.
I think we will stop here because we have collected some new ideas and have gathered some responses that are very, very important in terms of us knowing that there is still lack of information, lack of confidence in using the ESG reporting for SMEs and for companies. So there are still new tools that need to be developed and a more unified system, as we have spoken with the European Commission as well. All of that is very, very important news to the community. And I thank you very much for participating in the panel and for providing all of these ideas and for being here with us. We will move on. The cluster talk is not over yet because we will also provide you with the funding opportunities, as was mentioned in the beginning. And I will give the word back to Nina Hoffman.
Many thanks, everyone. Very interesting to listen to. Just to close, to share a few funding opportunities that might be of interest. First of all, there's the Stage Sustainability Transition Program, which is directed towards SMEs to create sustainable and competitive business models. And the support is in form of sustainability assessments, training, advisory services, and grants, and it is awarded on a first-come, first-served basis. So this is probably important to know. The program consists of three phases. First, the assessment, and then the capacity building, and finally, the advisory and investment support. You see the details in the call text, which is published on the EU Funding and Tenders portal. We will put the link in the chat. The deadline is the 31st of May. Particularly for social economy enterprises, and there's a call open for financial support to help capacity building services for new business models. Here, any SME can apply that is a social economy SME as defined by the EU, or is a micro and small enterprise. The deadline for this financial support to capacity building services is the 29th of June. I also have the link in the chat in case you know of any SMEs for which this might be interesting, and please share it with them. The EIC Accelerator has an open application for startups and scaling up high impact innovations that has a great potential either for new markets or disrupting existing ones. This is targeting deep tech innovations which require long-term funding and that struggle with other forms of investments due to either the long running periods or high risks. You can either support SMEs in the application for the open strand, so all fields of technologies, or to specific challenges which focus on strategic and emerging technologies in the priority areas as singled out by the call text. The deadline for this call is the 18th of December, and it is also published on the EU Funding and Tenders portal. You can click on it on the link in the chat. And last but not least, there are also some opportunities open from our Europe clusters. Have a look at them from different ecosystems. There are your clusters looking for experts on the green transitions, or they give financial support to SMEs to improve their implementation processes, manufacturing, or to receive training, or to give support to internationalization. So have a look at all the calls open from the Euro clusters, which are published on the European Cluster Collaboration. The link is on the chat, or also if you go to the ECC website, you will find that under funding. And with that, I close and wish you all a good Wednesday.
Thank you. I will just remind everybody that all of the links that have just been mentioned, they are all in the chat. The chat is still active. It has been active all the way, and you have said thank yous and you have said hellos. So thank you so much for being so interactive and for communicating with us. I will just encourage you to register for the next cluster talks, the next one on Europe's technological future, driving innovation for economic security is on the 26th of February. On the 12th of March, we've got Clean Industrial Deal. And on the 26th of March, EU Transition Pathway Stakeholder Support Platform. So do register if you haven't done that by now. You're very welcome to attend and to participate actively or not actively, whatever you prefer. So this is it to register for the next talks, and do continue the discussion on the LinkedIn European Cluster Collaboration Platform group, the general discussion group on LinkedIn. Do join there and follow everything that goes on there too. And do continue to follow us on the social media. Visit the ECCP website. Again, the link is in the chat, or you can just Google ECCP and we'll take you there. Follow us on social media too. Cluster Collaboration .eu on X, former Twitter, or again LinkedIn, European Cluster Collaboration Platform. If you're posting anything from this seminar or anything cluster related, EU Cluster Talks is the right hashtag. ECCP is another hashtag that you're very welcome to use. So thank you if you decide to do that when posting content on social media. And with that, I will thank everybody for participating. Thank you for participating actively in the polls that were very instrumental and useful. And I'm looking forward to seeing you some other time. Do have a good, fruitful day, whether you work or whether you get some chance to relax. So thank you so much, and see you some other time.